Ready to rush to the front lines, and depending on your view, he's also been described as a conservative propagandist and a Tea Party loyalist. His new book is called Righteous Indignation, Excuse Me While I Save the World. Not a very modest title. In the book, you will find scarcely a word about one of his most infamous episodes involving Shirley Sherrod. And I'm delighted to say that Andrew Brietbart joins us now. Good afternoon, sir.
Well, I don't accept the premise.
But let me move forward. In your book, which I've read, you write, I'm not religious and I'm certainly no theologian, but if there's one thing in religion that speaks to me, it is the idea of absolute truth. We start by uncovering the truth and telling everyone about it. So those are your words.
Absolutely.
So let's start then with establishing a single important truth. Did you watch the entire video of Shirley Sherrod's speech before you posted what were 136 seconds of it online?
No.
Behave yourself!
Was that a responsible thing to do as a journalist?
Behave yourself!
I guarantee you that every single day MSNBC does that all the time.
Behave yourself!
What happened is that other media took it and cut off that part and talked about it on TV.
Okay.
And so I ended up being a captive to the fact that other people selectively edited out my entire 1,400-word argument.
You are freaks and animals!
I had been battling the NAACP against the false allegation that the Tea Party is racist. The entire 14-word piece makes that argument. That I hit the target. The NAACP is affirmed in Shirley Sherrod's day one statement, where she said this is the NAACP's fault, and she said, and the NAACP apologized for the audience's reaction. It's significant that they apologized for the audience's reaction because the NAACP's head, Ben Jealous, for the week before attacked the Tea Party based upon the false premise that it yelled the N-word at Congressmen Carson and Lewis. I have 4 videos that show that it didn't happen, and NBC will not show those videos.
Andrew,
yeah.
let's just...
You're freaks and animals!
I wrote in the piece that eventually her basic humanity informs her to help the white farmer.
Andrew,
and
I'm quoting your words.
Yes, and read the rest of the piece.
Behave yourself!
To truth-telling.
Told you the
How
truth.
can you do
I
that
just told you the
when
truth.
Behave yourself!
you publish something?
You don't want to hear what I just told you.
Behave!
I told you, eventually her basic humanity informed her to help the white farmer, and I kept in the part of the arc. The whole point was to show that the NAACP has no right to judge the Tea Party on racism if it keep its own house in order. That was the point of it. That was the point of the clip.
This is anti-gay!
I came with a point to show that the NAACP was in no position to judge the Tea Party. That is exactly what happened.
Right-wing bigots, go away!
What have I
Shirley
not told
Sherrod,
the truth about? What have I not told the truth about?
We've had Rush Limbaugh. Let me
What,
just get...
what have I not told the truth about? What have I not told the truth about? You started this off.
I want to ask you a question.
What have I not told the truth about?
Let me ask you a question. Farmer dressed and in a family of apes.
Are you asking me about this? What do I have to do with it?
I want to ask you, what do you think of that image?
It's deplorable. It's deplorable. It's reprehensible, and you're trying to you're trying to insinuate that I'm a racist here, which is what MSNBC does to conservatives every single day. This entire context of this conversation is what the NAACP and what the Democratic Party has been doing to the Tea Party for the last year. Why don't you hold her accountable for saying that I wanted to bring black people back to slavery? She, on day one, said this was the NAACP's fault. A week later, she said this has nothing to do with the NAACP. This is about Andrew Brietbart. Somebody told her, we need to target Andrew Brietbart at this point. On day one, the NAACP understood perfectly well what the context of this video was, and I successfully stopped their waging the campaign that MSNBC was party to try to falsely frame the Tea Party as racist. You're not going to shut down dissent in this country. I
not
believe
asking
it to
to do
the
that.
core
I'm
of my
asking
being.
Behave yourself.
You didn't read my book. Media Matters read it for you.
Learn to behave yourself.
Every single thing.
I've marked it out. I've read the whole thing.
Every single point that you've offered is straight out of George Soros's funded and John Podesta's led Media Matters.
Stop raping people.
You are playing the role of a
not.
dupe of John Podesta and Eric Bullard and Media Matters.
Stop raping people.
Every time I appear on MSNBC, or a lot of times, there's Eric Bullard from Media Matters to be right there.
Stop raping.
Those are talking points straight out of Media Matters.
You and I,
Stop raping people.
you and I are having a conversation
No, we're
about,
not.
about
No,
truth.
we are.
Stop raping the people.
And
Media
you,
Matters is over there.
You freak.
George Soros is sitting over there.
You filthy freaks.
And Bill Ayers is sitting over here.
You filthy.
You have agenda-driven journalism. I support it.
Filthy.
I support it. I support MSNBC.
Filthy.
I support Keith Olbermann when he was fined by MSNBC.
No.
Because the implication that he was giving money was somehow ethically wrong when everybody knows where he comes from.
Murdering.
Everybody knows where you're coming from.
Freaks.
I believe in a back and
okay,
forth.
Andrew. Well, thank you very much indeed for joining us today.
Why won't they report it? Because
Andrew.
they don't want to hurt the image of it. I am holding your movement, the Occupy movement, to the same standard
Let me
that
address
you've
that.
held the Tea Party.
Okay, let me just.
Where are you going now, Nevruz?
I'm going to harass ethnic people of all sorts, including my fellow Jews and even white males who offend me with their every act. I see things through the prism of race and sex and religion, and I'm enraged. And I need to go take on everyone, especially the Caucasian white male,
Oh, okay. And where are you going to do that?
wherever I find them. There's an outrageous man driving a vehicle. I'm going to confront him. Okay, I get it.
No.
Solution for the immigration crisis in the U.S. today?
I don't have an answer for you. It's a pretty complicated situation, but I don't have an answer for you. I'm not the policy guy, by the way.
All right.
You'll figure that out eventually.
So
I just want to create platforms for more people to express themselves and to stop the mainstream media act of using political correctness to accuse anybody that disagrees with the left of being a racist, a sexist, and a homophobe. I believe that there needs to be loud, vocal debate in this country, unfettered by intimidation tactics like political correctness.
Andrew Brietbart appears to have infiltrated Nevruz Nation.
He said he works for you. It's going to come to light who you really are. He said he works for you.
Hey,
Please answer one question. Yes, what are you doing here? You have the balls to answer a question you asked. He's a coward. You're a coward. You're a coward. You're a coward. 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 I'm just trying to get my. Why don't you go, dog? You ask me all the time. Have you ever done cocaine? Yes or no? Have you ever slept with a prostitute? Have you? Good riddance, coward!
What?
Woo! What's up? Was that some fun or what? Come on. Come on. What's your name? Come on.
Wow. Thank you so much. A mildly different reaction to the one I got when I entered here. How many people saw that group of people protesting We the People? Does anybody know what happened to that group? They got into their buses and they left. Does anybody know how that happened? I walked up to them and I started to throw little pixie dust of truth on them, and they started to freak out. And I saw coils springing out of their union heads. This AstroTurf organization that was out there, I confronted them. They were pretending to be a religious group. They had seen the background and they said, we're good liars, why don't we pretend that we're a religious group and protest these people? They said, stop the hate. I saw signs that said, stop the hate. And 2 people called me a homosexual. I called my wife and 4 kids. I go, are you sure? I just got a little worried there. And I started to ask them basic questions. They were all holding up these signs. One person said, you know, stop the hate. I go, give me one example of hate from this group. Couldn't answer. I said, give me an example. One guy had a sign that said, Glenn Beck lies. I said, I'm not going to ask for 100 or 10. I'm going to ask for one example of how Glenn Beck has lied. And he said, I'm not going to get caught in your trap. Then these individuals who all came here on their own volition, because they're inspired by their individuality, I started asking, who here's from the SCIU? They're like, start frazzled. One leader says, get away from him, get away from him. There's 300, I'm one person. I've been spit at, I've been called a homosexual by a group that wants to stop the hate. And I say, come on, tell us why you're here. Will somebody tell me why you're here? One lady came over to me and she said, I'm here on my own volition. I said, how did you find out? How did you find out about this group? She said, I got an email from OFA, Organizing for America. The majority of the people are with the Tea Party. The only thing that's controversial is the mainstream media. We are in a battle. We are in a civilizational battle between the politically correct and the common sense. We are the majority, and we started to figure out how to find each other. Call it social networking, call it coming to arenas and saying we stand up for America, but we found each other. This is not about November. This is about the future. This is about 100 years. This is not about the next 2 months. We have finally discovered that we have to take this country back, and we, the people, have to become the media. We have to become vigilant. I can't tell you how proud I am that I run a citizen journalism operation. I have 9 people on payroll. The rest are you. And we are beating the ABC, NBC, CBS, the New York Times, the Washington Post, fueled on people power. Thank you very much.
I don't know what else to say about Neil Cavuto.
Well, what I want to say is about you, and you said that you're not going to have a lot of viewers, but I think that you represent a lot of viewers like myself who have no discernible expertise
I have no expertise
on anything, and I think that people will relate to you on that. When you see how they treat the Tea Party, they're default racist. They have to disprove their racism. I believe that the organism, the natural organism that is the Democrat media complex, behaves oftentimes in an evil fashion. My goal is to destroy the mainstream media as we currently know it. It's why our children come back from Thanksgiving after you hugged them and you gave them a stereo and bought them the little cool refrigerator, and they said, I love you, Mom, I love you, Dad, it's a great thing, and they come back saying, why are we having Thanksgiving? Mom and Dad, you're oppressing Native Americans. It's why we have Whole Foods. We can't just buy crap that we like. We have to be reinforced that we're saving the world. My battle is with what I call the Democrat media complex. But we have to defeat political correctness. We have to defeat the Democrat media complex's reflexive use of race in order to, as a cudgel to use against conservatives, which intimidates good people from standing up, running for office, becoming media figures because they're fearful of being called a racist, a sexist, or a homophobe. It's my big issue. And I do know that paranoid-looking
Jesse Jackson Jr. was not looking for family photos to look for 20 years ago. I was at the historic sign-in, and I decided not to walk under the comfortable confines of the Capitol. I wanted to be with my fellow citizen who disagreed with me. He went looking for a YouTube moment that would go viral, and none of them got it, and Congressman Carson made it up. He lied, and the mainstream media abided by it. And I started to put together the pieces, the big gavel, the stupid over-description of an event that didn't happen, where no Capitol policeman said that this happened, no videotape emerged during that period of time. And I said, I'm calling bullshit on this. And I offered $100,000 for any video that showed not once, not 15 times, once. And you know what happened? They shut up. They go, yes, it happened. It was the worst thing that ever happened in the world. George Stephanopoulos is, oh my God, the Tea Party, they're the worst people that ever happened in the history of the world. We're racist. We knew they were racist, but it happened. It happened. It finally happened. That meme died when I offered the $100,000. It died. But then Jesse Washington of the Associated Press called me up and made the argument that the absence of video does not mean the event didn't happen. You people! It freaked me out, and I was like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do here? And so I said, okay, let's find the video. Let's find it. And we found 4 videos from the exact space that Carson said it happened, the exact space that Jesse Washington said that it happened. 4 videos, and you see them walking out of the Cannon House step buildings. Congressmen Carson and Lewis. And walking a beat behind them, checking his cell phone, is Caucasian American John Shattuck, former Republican congressman from Arizona. And they walked down briskly down the steps, and it didn't happen. Period. I have 4 videos that prove that members of Congress lied, and the mainstream media abided by it. And the mainstream media will not show those videos because the narrative is too important to them. They need to destroy the Republican Party and the conservative movement based upon the issue of race.
In the post-election, after the fall of Dan Rather, which was a significant victory for the people's media, they crafted from 2004 to 2008 a new firewall to protect them. That was, I've been in post, sorry. Media Matters. Accused. Media Matters, and these were created to be a firewall to protect the mainstream media from future Swiftboat stories. So, having constructed that firewall to a great extent, I realized, kind of like when they bring in a security guy to take down the bank. I thought, how do you create something that can go above the firewall or around the firewall? And the approach in the Acorn story was to create a tsunami, to make it just go so high over it that they didn't know what happened. That I just remember watching this play out, and I didn't realize that the tsunami would be so much higher. You know, can you imagine David Brockovich and Media Matters for Bulgaria and Eric Bollert? Can you imagine them attempting to stop this? Could you imagine? What was that? What was that? What is the noise? I don't understand.
She can talk to you more specifically about the ways with which she received these photos. She's the one who is attesting to the fact that it came from Congressman Weiner. I've seen it. I've seen a lot of this congressman's body at this, and he's in very good shape.
I must say, in my non-strategic, because I'm under attack all the time. If you see it on Twitter, the tolerant call me gay. I mean, it's just like they're vicious, the death threats and everything. And so there are times where I'm not thinking as clearly as I should, and in those unclear moments I always think to myself, fire the first shot, bring it on, because I know who's on our side, and they know that. They can only win a rhetorical and a propaganda war. They cannot win. We outnumber them in this country, and we have the guns. So they, I'm not kidding. They talk a mean game, but they will not cross that line because they know what they're dealing with. And I have people who come up to me in the military, major named people in the military, who grab me and they go, "Thank you for what you're doing. We've got your back." And so they understand that. These are the unspoken things we know. They know. They know who's on their side. They've got Janine Garofalo. We are freaked out by that. When push comes to shove, they know who's on our side. They are the bullies on the playground, and they're starting to realize, what if we were to fight back? What if we were to slap back? You know, these union thugs, these public sector union thugs, I'm just waiting. Bring it on. I am sick of it. I'm sick of this Trump guy. I'm sick of this John Sweeney. I'm sick of the SEIU. I'm sick of them going to people's homes, executives' homes, and showing up, and the media not thinking. You don't think there's a problem with that? Katie Couric. What if we went to Katie Couric's house? What if the Tea Party showed up at Katie Couric's house and scared the living crap out of her teenage kids? And that's what they do because they know that the mainstream media won't cover it. And so there's just a part of me that wants them to walk over that line.
Do you know what I would be accused of if I released this photo? I'm doing this to save his family, okay? And if this guy wants to start fighting with me again, I have this photo. But I absolutely do. I'm not doing this for nefarious purposes. I'd like an apology from him for allowing for his political protectors, which this was his strategy, was to blame me for hacking. Oh, don't worry, Breitbart's our regular whipping boy. We can accuse him of anything, and the press will not hold those journalists to account no matter what they say. And so I'm here for some vindication.
Before I begin my tirade on the American mainstream media, I would like to bring up Adrian Guillory. Come on up here. Adrian, I'm under the impression that MSNBC is about to break into our coverage here, and I want you to take this snapshot so you can use Photoshop to cut off his head, put a gun in my hand, and call us a bunch of racists. And you know who's going to do that? Contessa Brewer. You're such a pretty face. How dare you call these God-loving Americans racist? Thank you, Adrian. Now I'm going to be accused of, I don't know, using him as a prop or something. I'm sorry.
Do you even know what you're protesting? How much are you getting paid? You will be the last to find out you've been duped. Enjoy yourself. You don't even know why you're here. You don't understand why you're here. You don't understand why you're here. How much are you getting paid?
We know very well
How much are you getting paid?
We're not getting paid.
paid.
We're not paying anybody. Nobody's getting paid. We are here.
Are you here to stop the hate?
Yes.
Are you a hateful man?
I'm certainly not.
You're hateful.
I'm a peaceful man.
What are you here for?
I am here to stop the hate that Glenn Beck is promulgating.
Like
in
what?
this
One thing that he said that's hateful. One thing that he said that's hateful. One, not 100. One.
I'm not going to fall into your trap.
One. It's a trap. Truth is a trap.
He should not be allowed
to take that from us. Why is he a coward? Why is he a coward? Why is he a coward? Your sign says Beck is a coward. Why is he a coward?
Because
why is he a coward?
He stands there on his.
I'm asking him. That's what his sign
He stands on in his TV show. It just, you know what?
Why is he a coward? Your sign has a very clear statement. Why? SEIU. Who here is from SEIU? Dave, do you remember when SEIU beat up Kenneth Gladney, the black man? How did you feel about that? How did you feel about that? That's hatred. That's hatred. That's hatred.
Ma'am, are you homophobic?
That's hatred. What has Beck lied about? I'm going to go sign by sign. What has he lied about? Name one lie.
Probably everything.
Probably everything. Good quote. There you go. Is there a single person here willing to back up what your sign has to say? Is there a single person whose sign is backed up by truth? They are organized. They are organized from the union level to come here to disrupt, to create the false perception that these people in this audience are trying to sell hate. There's no hatred in there.
When the
the
word
lady in the
darkness was
orange
used over and over again.
poncho called me a homosexual. And that guy with the red hat, when I asked why did you call me a homosexual, he said because it's the way that you talk.
Their race, no matter their ethnicity,
I just got called
no
a
matter their
homosexual.
immigrant status.
I just got called a homosexual by a member of your group. What we're seeing here, this is organized by people who don't even know why they're here. They can't even, they have signs. They're organized. They were told to move away, and they walked over there like a herd. They don't know why they're here. This is organized union behavior. Told you this was a union rally. They're mocking the religiosity of Beck's gathering on the mall. They're trying to one-up him. Hi, will anyone admit which union that told you to come here? Please tell me which union told you to come here, because they are making you lie. Admit why you're here. You're here because the unions told you to come here, and he's organizing you. You are not an individual, you are a mass, and he's organizing you. You do not have free will in the United States. You want to be led. Do you apologize for the people in your Stop the Hate rally that called me a homosexual? Will anybody apologize for your group getting caught on camera for casting a homophobic aspersion upon me?
That's hatred.
Will there be one person to apologize?
I'm sorry that happened. I'm sorry that happened. It was uncalled for.
What will you do to reprimand the person? We have it on camera. What will you do? What are the results? I'm now asking you this. Thank you for apologizing.
Okay.
What is your name?
My name is Eugene Winkler.
Eugene Winter.
Winkler. W-I-N-K-L-E-R.
Winkler.
Okay,
Eugene Winkler. Why are you telling individuals that they have to go? I thought dissent was patriotic. Since we started organizing, saying we want to get back to the Constitution, that we want to get back to the founding principles, we've been told that we're haters for saying that we believe in the Constitution.
Well put. Well put. Thank you.
In the end, the protesters decided to throw in the towel and head back to their school buses for a long ride home. One lone protester who didn't come in on the bus was the only person to speak candidly about the nature and origin of the protest, including the role of President Obama's Organizing for America.
I wanted to find out if the people holding the signs would be able to answer why they're holding that particular sign with that particular message. And none of the people could answer it because they were handed those signs because they were organized, and that is what they call AstroTurf. This is a manufactured event in which you are the exception to the rule to answer to the reason why you're here. You have every right to be here. I respect your right to be here. You've been the only person I can honestly say who's been a lovely individual, and the majority of the people in my life in Los Angeles agree with you. So I don't have a problem with it.
I support Obama. That's why I'm here. This is about November elections. Look at the bus over there. November is coming. That's why I'm here, because November is coming. And I want to
How did you find out about this protest?
Organizing for America.
Thank you very much.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
He showed up at like an anti-capitalist protest, but he came with love and with rollerblades, and then later he invited all the people that hated him to an Applebee's, I believe, and they went with him. I think we have some tape of this.
No justice, no peace. No justice.
justice, no peace.
You're ridiculous. You are a joke. You are a despicable human being. You're the lowest life form that I've ever seen. Your entire job is trying to destroy people.
I'm answering you. Are you a journalist?
I'm asking you, but you're not answering my question, Andrew. What do you say to the criticism?
Him.
What do you say
Ask
to the criticism?
See, you're
Where
not
is he? Where is he?
You're angry.
Where is he?
He's been all over the place.
Yeah, okay.
It worked,
He's
buddy.
not answering his phone.
It worked.
Okay. But what do you say? What do you? I'm asking you.
Coward. You're a
I'm
coward.
asking you. I'm asking you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Ask him why he dressed like a.
Bring him on. Why won't he talk to me?
Bring him on. You just confronted me in the middle of the hallway.
I asked him for an interview last night.
Put your back in your drawers.
You're losing. You're losing.
And you're sounding like an ass. You've been sounding like
Get out of here, buddy. Get out of here.
Talk to you later.
Retractions at salon.com based upon your.
You never went after me, and I was the one.
Okay, right, and you lost. Salon
you
retractions. You lost
because you couldn't come.
Because you're not accountable.
You couldn't come at me.
You're not
you
accountable.
Could not come at me,
You're not accountable.
I'm gonna see you again.
Okay, good.
Why are you the only one that posted that Jerry Taylor, the white supremacist, that got his conference?
Are you accusing me of being a white supremacist?
I'm accusing you of being a racist. Yes, I am.
Okay, good.
Yes, I
Have
am.
a nice day, buddy. Will somebody please take this guy out of here? You punk.
Well, he'd make a great scout leader. That was Andrew Brietbart taking on all comers at this year's Conservative Political Action Conference, or CPAC as I like to call it. I actually penned that name. Here to talk about the fun he had at the conference is big Hollywood, big government, and big journalism publisher Andrew Brietbart. So, Andrew, you were basically the story of CPAC. Did you expect that to happen?
Who's that angry Caucasian in the center of it all?
Yeah.
I came there with a beef. I knew that the left's pillars of the in the last year their foundation was crumbling. You've got global warming falling apart. You've got the mainstream media falling apart. And then Acorn was a representation of the Great Society that Democrats helped the poor. And when it was exposed that one of its primary institutions doesn't help, well, it helps the poor create underage prostitution rings, and they investigated Hannah and James and tried to destroy them and me instead of investigating the organization. The left is pissed. They're very angry that Barack Obama's presidency is failing. They're angry at people on the right. And so what they've done is they've started to lash out like crazy at everybody that disagrees with them. Tea Party people, Hannah and James. Jason Matera was falsely accused by some gal by the name of Kate Zernicki at the New York Times of being racist. It's the last card they have to play. And it keeps getting thinner. That girl keeps getting thinner every time. So I've told everybody at CPAC in my speeches that I gave there that it's time to hit back at these people, that these people keep calling you a racist. Instead of slinking into the corner and crying or saying, I don't like that, you walk straight towards them and you confront them, and they're bullies. They're just bullies, and bullies crumble when you hit them back.
Well, I got to say, part of me is like, it's completely refreshing to see the people who are on Twitter, and the people who are on Facebook, the people who are throwing stones from miles and miles away, the people that say that I'm a racist or that you're a racist, behind the comfort
Wouldn't you
of
like
the
to be a
computer.
racist too?
Exactly. But do you know what I mean? And then so once you have the opportunity to actually be in front of this person who I can see Andrew's really thirsty now. Yeah, that you can actually have the opportunity to say, "Hey, I'm here. You have to now call me racist." And when you confronted Blumenthal about what he said when he had called this guy racist, and then he backed down because he never had the balls to do this sort of thing person to person. He only did it, on his computer. But having said that, I always worry, Andrew, that you're going to burst a blood vessel.
Oh, by the way, did you see me drink gasoline? Yeah. That's what's been going on. Look, it's not just this. I want to tell you something. Hannah Giles is one of the greatest human beings of all time. People come up to me, they say, "Is she smart?" Well, we're going to put up video within the next 24 hours that I believe is the highlight reel that you haven't seen from CPAC. Max Blumenthal confronted Hannah before he confronted me.
And while talking to him, she said, Max, you've got a booger in your nose. And he picks his nose. And it's on video, and we're going to put it up on Big Journalism tomorrow.
But, oh, you have a
booger in there?
So, but I didn't understand how...
Is it gone?
No, it's still...
That's horrible.
I know.
Can I look close?
No, it's fine now. It's gone.
Now that's what I call great journalism.
That's either a scoop or a pick. I'm not sure which one that is, but I like it.
It's a scoop. I got to ask you, though, I follow you on Twitter, and you get into these massive fights with people, not just Media Matters, which are, as you know, are our tools, but like people that just get on your case. Don't you find that you're spending more time yelling at your enemies than hanging out with your friends? And does that worry you just a touch?
There are weaknesses in the strategy and how it relates to my family and friends. I'm having so much fun. I want it to be in the history books of saying I took down the institutional left, and I believe it's going to happen within the next.
I just wanted to tell, are there any protesters from the Occupy movement here? I want to tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. There's a conspiracy going on. I just want to show you proof of the conspiracy. This is what they're serving back there. 7-inch circumference cookies. That's how decadent we run in the movement. It's unbelievable. What else do I have? What other props do I have here? How many people saw the Occupy movement outside last night?
Too close.
Do you know why they're out there? Because of you.
And you got a job.
Because of the Tea Party. Because we the people finally stood up. And they're upset. And they're jealous. We've got 7-inch cookies and you don't. You understand who this man is and who these people are. This is not your mother or grandfather's Democratic Party. This is a radical wing of the far, far left, and they've got silver ponytails to prove it. These are the professors from hell. And they never thought that they would ever have the ability to have one of their own in the White House while they had Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid, not to mention all the cultural institutions. They thought that this was it. They thought this was it. And they had no idea that you could community organize against the community organizers. And that's exactly what happened. And when the Tea Party was created, they're like, that's not fair. I want one of those. It's like when they wanted to rush Limbaugh, so they started Air America and they failed. Like, that's not fair. We need the fairness doctrine. We want one. We want one. Then Ariana wanted to have, I want my Drudge Report. I want a Drudge Report, and she created the Huffington Post. And so look what's happening outside. I want a Tea Party. I want an authentic grassroots movement of people that are going to save the country. And what did they create out of envy? A group of public masturbating, raping, violent freaks. They're freaks. They're freaks. Quote me on it. They're freaks of nature. They've been in our lives. They've been in our lives for 50 days. There's been a public infestation of pubic lice. I'm not kidding you. What I'm telling you is the truth. For 3 years, they've taken a microscope to you and said you're the worst human beings in the world, yet you clean up after yourself. What they have done from city to city
blessed by Nancy Pelosi and organized by President Obama. This thing would be over. This thing would be over with the rioting that happened, the attacks on Whole Foods, the riots, the rapes, the pubic lice, if the President of the United States said, no, this isn't a good thing, we need to stop it, and tell the mayors of Oakland and the mayor of New York, let's put an end to this. This is community organizing, and this is the only skill set that this president has. And this is divide and conquer, and all you have to do is go outside and see their signs. This is a class war. They say it. This is a class war. Nothing could be more un-American. I know they don't like when you say that, than dividing us and trying to pit us against each other. And that's what they've done. In 2 years, it went from hope and change to community organizing and pitting us against each other. And thank God that you guys have stood up and withstood the attacks from the mainstream media that portrayed you in the worst possible light while they ignore these people. We are in the midst of an electronic civil war out there. And since 2009, 2010, 2011, we stood up. The elections have favored our side. And the American people in 2012 are going to take back this country. Thank you to the courageous people who have stood up. Thank you to AFP. Keep it coming. Just keep it coming. Thank you very much.
Andrew, what do you make of this? Is this the kind of policy California needs right now?
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah, what do you need?
Tell me more about what happens in the prison. No, you have no idea. I've never. Oh my God! I
know it matches your pants. I guess the mainstream media doesn't think that an NEA director of communication being reassigned 3 days after they were scolded for not covering the Van Jones story. That's 2 spankings of epic proportion, mainstream media, and you weren't there to cover it. And then we move on to Thursday. What happened on Thursday, folks, but the great work of Hannah and James. They dumped the most excruciating video that I've ever seen in my entire life. The Baltimore Acorn, in which these 2 actors / independent investigative journalists posited to actually read the book of Saul Alinsky that has so motivated the left for years as they demonize their fellow citizens. And this guy read the book inside and out and said, hey, I wonder if you do their tricks against them, how that would play out. So he goes into Acorn with his friend Hannah and positions himself as a pimp with a prostitute, and they're there to set up an underage brothel of illegal immigrants ages from 13 to 15 from the Central American enclave of El Salvador. Of course they got kicked out. No, they didn't get kicked out. And when that was reported on Fox News and all over the internet, went viral, has been seen by millions upon millions, sending me emails saying, when is the mainstream media going to start covering this? They're never going to start covering it. That's why the era of big media is over. You're the media now. The American people are the 4th estate. That is why I'm here to tell you in middle America you don't need to trust Hollywood or Manhattan anymore because the game is over. Thank you very much.
A 31-year-old Duluth man, what's that, appeared in court, Duluthian.
It's like Cro-Magnon.
Yes, this morning, and had bail set at $10,000 after he slashed a bunch of exercise balls at a local hospital. But Jerkness admitted the acts were part of a deeply rooted sexual fetish. Breitbart, please tell me that this is just way beyond your idea of fetish. Oh my goodness. Thank you very much.
What do
do you think about Obama's treatment of Netanyahu at first, and then how Congress reacted to him?
Well, you know, the body language of Barack Obama sitting next to Netanyahu showed, you know, I've seen that lady that sits there, and I think her name is Joellen Demetrius, or there's a couple other body language people out there on the talk show circuit, and you could tell the disgust that Barack Obama had towards Netanyahu, that this is an enemy of his, not just a visiting dignitary. And this is why, even though I've been against the birthers saying, you know, stop it, guys, I've been a courser. I believe that we need to see what classes he took when he was at Columbia and Occidental. And I think that you're going to see that Edward Said played an important role in his educational background. I think that the missing Los Angeles Times video of Rashid Khalidi, who's a pro-Palestinian professor, where clearly Barack Obama praised this man. The American media does not want you to see, especially since the American media is covering up so that Jewish liberals will see that we voted the most anti-Israel, most anti-Jew person in the history of this country, and that they knew that he had to get through that group of people, that donor base. Right. I would call them my brethren. I'm Jewish, the dumb liberal Jews who can't figure out that this guy does not have Israel at their best, in his interests. Yeah. It's so clear. Why are they hiding the Khalidi tape? It's never, now more than ever, we need to see what's on the Khalidi tape.
From the LA Times?
Yes. And his grades. I mean, Edward Said is dead, but there is a hardcore leftist anti-Israel bent that I saw with my own eyes after 9/11 at the federal building, shut down 2 lanes of traffic. Not only was there anti-Americanism from the organized left, from the professors, from the hard left, it was also against Israel. The day that we were hit the hardest by a purely villainous group of people, these people were trying to figure out how this could be turned against Israel, how this could be turned against America, and I believe that Barack Obama sits right in the center of the epicenter of that leftist philosophy.
What would you say to your fellow Jews who lauded Obama addressing AIPAC?
It pisses me off because I spend all my time, like, I am not religious, but the conservative Christians of this country have Israel's back. Without them, Israel would be, Schitt's Creek. And the very idea that liberal Jews side with a Barack Obama, side with a Rashid Khalidi, side with an Edward Said, it is a suicidal pact for the sake of, I don't even know. What are you getting in return? Nothing.
And in terms of those who would donate, support his re-election coffers?
It'll be interesting. I want to see the percentage of people who are either suicidal or scientifically provably stupid.
Because at this point,
because of their support of Barack Obama and being liberal Jew Zionists. It's suicide or stupidity. It's one or the other.
Why do you think Congress was so welcoming to him?
Because
do you think they were just looking for donations?
Israel is one of our greatest allies. It is a democracy surrounded by a series of failed countries. And there's a reason why they're failed countries, because they're totalitarian in nature, and we need to stand by open democracies that have a belief in freedom and liberty and democracy and free markets. That's what America is. That's what Britain is. That's what England is. That's what Israel is, and we need to stand by our allies.
You think Congress realizes that?
Yes, I do. I think even some crazy lefty people like Jan Schakowsky is now getting booed. She's a nutcase, but on this she stands up for Israel, and that group of hard leftists now want Jan Schakowsky's hide. You can't get a person who's more left of center. You can't get a person who's more insane, who's done more to organize the organized left. And for her to divert on Israel, these people want her hide. These people, the organized left, the professors in the humanities departments on campus have been anti-Israel. We've been brainwashing our kids in this Rashid Khalidi, Edward Said, Orientalism bullshit for
Arafatism.
too long. Yeah, Arafatism, which is hypocrisy, speaking out of one side of their mouth in Arab and then speaking another way in English. And all you have to do is look at the transcripts, and you see these people do not have democracy at heart. They don't see a future of coexistence. They are a warring faction who want Israel dead.
Are you concerned about Islamists infiltrating this administration?
Absolutely, because there's no transparency with this group of people. Until I get to see the Khalidi tape, I'm allowed to harbor doubts about this man and Israel, and this man and America.
Hey, Andrew, you weigh in here. What do you feel? Do you think this guy should go away for life?
Well, the real question here is, who made off with all the money?
What? Are you eating your nipples?
For instance, the Acorn story starts with you breaking the videos, and it gets reported in blogs like Michelle Malkin, and then they get reported on Hannity on Fox News. And at that point, it starts to be possible to penetrate the mainstream media on it. I think the way the conservative media is, it depends very heavily on this one institution, Fox News, and it's under attack, if anybody hasn't noticed.
Yeah.
I don't think, I think that once Rupert goes, they'll throw Roger Ailes out, and they won't even care that they lose money, because it's just, I think up at the top of the news corporation, they hate Fox News. So the
or Murdoch's children.
Right.
Or the wives.
Murdoch's children.
Why would they have an affinity for it?
The private schools they went to, they're friends with those private schools.
I understand. Why do you think I work so frantically to try and tell people that it's the news media that matters more than the political stuff? We need to create our own infrastructures, and we refuse to do so. We do not have foresight. We have to look at the actuary tables here. It's grim, to be honest with you. And so I'm doing everything I can, but I'm telling you to tell conservatives that they need to invest in the news infrastructure to make it so that, I never understood this, but there was always a flower shop across the street from a flower shop in Santa Monica growing up, and I was like, why are the flower shops? And my dad said, it's actually good for business to have two flower shops across the street from each other. And I'm like, I never understood it, but now I understand it.
Starbucks, the local cafes, the private cafes do better than Starbucks shows up.
That's right. It's somewhat counterintuitive, but I believe strongly. That's why when Tucker Carlson launched the Daily Caller on day one, I wrote a column for free for him because I want him to succeed. Conservatives need to understand that the narrative is everything, whether that be in movies or whether that be in journalism. And yeah, I agree. I mean, my goal is, and I have limited resources. By limit, I'm talking like excruciatingly minimal amounts of money, and I work off of people power. But my goal would be to have a network and to figure out how to do it differently, and not to appeal to these 78-year-old sluts from Woodstock.
What's your plan forward for the future? What's next? More websites? More, I don't know,
I came up with
sketch comedy?
No, I'm not kidding you. I came up with a website that I am going to plan, and I wanted to use your merrymen who are out, traveling between LA and New York. This would be my first foray into non-political websites. CelebritieSWhoFlyCoach.com.
No, that's
I own the URL. Don't try and buy it.
So are you, do you belong down with the Tea Party?
Indeed.
Oh, well, you're in the wrong place.
Oh my God, they threw eggs. They're throwing eggs. Lovely. They threw eggs. Isn't that nice? Yes. Okay, so the Harry Reid supporters throw eggs. Isn't that lovely? Throwing eggs, but they're throwing eggs.
Get it throwing eggs!
Way to go, way to go.
All right, man. I'm glad you approved.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Thanks, man.
On the bus, everybody on the bus. Let's go.
Get him out of here, or I'm going to jail today. Get him out of here.
Wait. What did you just say?
I said I love you, in spite of what you are. is what I said.
You're going to go to jail today if I don't get out of here?
Everybody disagree with each other.
I haven't said anything provocative. I haven't said one thing provocative.
It's over. It's over.
I have not said. My mere standing here is causing people to intimate that they want to be violent against me. Just standing here.
As much as I hate Occupy and I've ripped it, I've been to Occupy Reykjavik, I swear to God.
Yeah.
Occupy Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I've been to a lot of them, LA twice, DC. When you go down there and you get caught up in the pulsing action, they had like a guy doing a turntable, and it was like this apocalyptic dancing during the middle of the day. I saw a hippie chick who had a little paunch,
That's nice.
and she was doing hula hoops to the music with her neck. And you stand there and you see the freaks of nature, like the old Dead shows of the 1970s and 1980s, and as much as you hate the politics behind it, you're just like, I kind of like you people. I don't know why.
Thank you. Thank you. I have volunteered my services to our country. Thank you very much, Tea Party Nation. A year ago today, I went to my first Tea Party in Santa Ana, California. Somebody asked me to come down to it, and I said, you know what, I'm not the best at talking about economics, but I think that we're going to have a problem if we want to start talking about founding fathers, the founding documents, what the origins of our country, because the mainstream media is not going to like what you have to say. And so I volunteered myself, and on day one, I had to contend with the fact that you guys were called teabaggers, and I had to deal with the fact that an unfortunately named sister by the name of Contessa Brewer on MSNBC, before you even spoke, told you what your grievances were to the country in our Dissent is Patriotic presidency. This person took a photo and cut off the head of a black man and asked, is the Tea Party Nation, are the people who are protesting Barack Obama racist? And the person was black. The person was black. She still has a job. MSNBC is still on the air. Janine Garofalo says, racist, racist, racist. This is what they do, my friends. This is what they do. It's evil. Now listen to me. Listen to me. There's irony here. There's irony here, okay? Listen to me. There's irony here. I was a dumb liberal when I was in college. I graduated. And guess what? I watched the Clarence Thomas hearings waiting for the media to take him down because the Democratic Party told me that he was the worst human being in the history of the world. I said, okay, let's take him down because he's a serial sexual harasser. And I watched the media and the Democratic Party ruin that man's life. He did nothing wrong. They just knew he had the wrong politics. The irony is he's an originalist. He's the one who has the values that most resemble this group of people, and they had to take him down. And guess what they did to me, my friends? They activated me. That was it. I go, I'm a conservative. I want to be on that man's team. And the stoic way he sat there, I was like, this is a hero. This is an American hero living the American dream. God bless Judge Clarence Thomas. You deserve that. Nobody deserves the mainstream media treatment. Not an individual, not a body of people that are impugned falsely when, let's get into chronology mode here. Let's get in, let everybody do Pilates for a second, okay? The least popular bill of our lifetime, no bipartisan support, the mainstream media, bipartisan, bipartisan, bipartisan. Until you're in power, then bipartisan means nothing. Toxically created, pushed by the press, bribes,
people getting beaten up by the SEIU. A black man by the name of Kenneth Gladney gets his butt whipped by SEIU the day that the White House says punch them back twice as hard, the same day that the AFL-CIO tells the rank and file to get in their faces. And in multiple cities, you see union thugs beating up honest, decent Americans, asking their leaders to read the bill. Is that so much to ask? So this toxic bill is coming down the tracks, and they see the polls. It's unpopular, and they have November coming down the track. They see this juggernaut. What happens if the Tea Party nation grows? What happens if that 59% grows into 73%? It is going to be annihilation time for these statists. So what did they do? What did they do? They pulled a Contessa Brewer on you. And so, I don't know, I study media, I pay attention to media, I've gone to the circus, I know a trick when I see it. And I see Barney Frank walking around, I see the Congressional Black Caucus, I see Sheila Jackson Lee taunting with the V sign. I'm like, what on God's green earth is happening here? A half hour later, you see Nancy Pelosi with a shit-eating grin holding that gavel. This was a stunt. They wanted to provoke you, my friends. They wanted to provoke you, and guess what you did? You did nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong. You said kill the bill. You said kill the bill. But they cut your head off again. And what did they do? Rep. Andre Carson said that I was confronted by 15 different people who said the N-word 15 times in a sea of new media. Everybody put your cameras up in the air. Everybody put your cameras up in the air. Put your cell phones up in the air. Everyone put your cell phones and your Blackberries up in the air. We have a sea of new media here to capture the lies. Look at that, mainstream media, you bullshit artists. You hateful bastards. How dare you impugn these people's reputation? Even if there was one person, the ease with which you used it to ruin the whole, it's despicable. So what did I do? I offered a $10,000 reward for anyone to show me the video. By day 2, I realized, wait a second, they don't have it. So I upped it to 20,000. And then I went to Searchlight, Nevada, and I get out to stretch. And I see a union thug misdirecting traffic. And I said, why are you doing that, sir? And as I'm doing that, the union thugs throw eggs at the Tea Party Express bus. What are you doing that for? We're the violent ones? You beat up the black guy at Russ Carnahan's place. You bit off somebody's finger in Thousand Oaks, California. You pulled a guy's shirt off in Tampa. You're telling us we're the ones who are violent? You're the ones who are violent. And what did they do? What did they do? What did they do? They called the police on me. Welcome to the surreal Orwellian world of Saul Alinsky. They accuse you of that which they're guilty of. The people that tried to destroy Clarence Thomas because he doesn't think properly. He hasn't properly gone to the right academy to learn the right progressive values. He is our cautionary tale, Clarence Thomas. We have offered $100,000 and they've come up with absolutely nothing, and they're in retreat mode. We have the power to change the narrative in this country. The new media is taking over where the old media failed. Yes, they failed, my friends. Yes, they failed. Your obligation is to keep the fight up and not to allow for the Alinsky tactics get you back into that 1998, 2003, 2008 mode of sitting and just buying stuff on the Home Shopping Network. Our consumer past is our fault. All we did was spend, and we did not pay attention. I don't care when the Tea Party movement was born. It needed to be born, and if the mainstream media is going to try and defeat it, your obligation is to find your neighbor and your neighbor's neighbor and get your kids involved, because these people did what they did in Hollywood 40 years ago. They shut up the opposition. If we sit down and shut up, we lose America. What are you going to do about it? Thank you very much.
Hi, I have a question for you. It's kind of a... We know Barack Obama is a Muslim.
I'm not.
Just wait a minute. We know that he was born in Kenya.
We're going to win. We're going to win on the good ones. Okay. We're going to win.
We also know that he's committing treason in this country. Why can't we get him out?
You don't want it. We are 12.
Okay. I know he didn't spend his formative years in the United States because nobody throws a baseball like that, even. That's about as far as I'll go on that. My attitude on all that funny business is never in my life has there been a winning argument where raw, rugged individuals have risen over the right issues at the right time. Fiscal responsibility, a return to the Constitution, all that type of stuff. It's unbelievable. It's amazing to see. We're called terrorists. That's how much they fear us, that they call us terrorists. They don't call the terrorists terrorists. They don't call the terrorists terrorists. There was a commission to make sure we don't call them terrorists, but we're the terrorists now. Okay? We're winning. We're winning. We're winning. But if we have a constitutional crisis over Barack Obama, over, stating that he's a Muslim, and you can't prove that. You can't prove that. It is going to divide this country unnecessarily. When you come to me with the goods, then that's a report. But to throw that out there is such poison when the rest of us are galvanized over a winnable issue. That's my answer.
Yeah. Right.
Here with Andrew Brietbart, founder of Big Government and Breitbart.com, and just general new media mogul at CPAC. Wondering what you're finding so far. How's the reaction been to your product?
People are happy here with my product. I think for the most part I haven't met any detractors, but I'm under the impression that Rachel Maddow's here, so there's at least one detractor here. I being the organizer of the federal break-in of Mary Landrieu's office, where I paid millions of dollars to James O'Keefe to break in there. That was a terrific story. Great reporting there, MSNBC.
And if you could say one thing to Rachel Maddow, if you were to run into her, what would it be?
Well, you're standing naked in front of the American people. You were part of a propaganda campaign to attack the last president, to make him out to be the worst human being that ever walked the face of the earth. And at the same time, you promoted Barack Obama as the greatest thing that ever walked the earth. And by overselling this poor gentleman, Barack Obama, you have created the broken promise with the American people. The Tea Party movement and the rebellion that you're seeing in Massachusetts and across the country is not because Barack Obama stinks as bad as he does. It's because you oversold him and you undersold the last president. That in an era of new media, there's a checks and balance for the type of propaganda that you serve up. And if you think you can unring this bell and you think you can put your clothes back on while continuing to peddle this type of propaganda, you're wrong. So there is a checks and balance on you. I hope to see you and give you a lovely hug because you've validated my hopes and aspirations and my business model because you're so bad at what you do.
So this is still kind of a conservative establishment here. Have you found that that there is an embrace of the Tea Party movement and new activists and new entrepreneurs?
The Tea Party movement is so brilliantly disorganized. They just pop up all over the place, and that the left's Alinsky tactics, that's you, Rachel Maddow, of isolating a Sarah Palin or her poor children and beating on them, beating on them, beating on them. You can't do that with the Tea Party movement. Oh yes you can. You can call them racist and homophobes, but those tricks aren't working anymore because people are saying this is ridiculous. Look, this all ties back to the media. Every single person here who's conservative or libertarian or free market or classical liberal, whatever you want to call them. Oh, I'm a Hayekian, if that's even a term. Everybody has a term. The one thing these people do have in common is a contempt for the mainstream media, which has framed the narrative that these people, that their value system, that their political value system, their economic value system is somehow debased, that it somehow has origins in racism or sexism. All that stuff that you learned in college in the last 20 years, that postmodern, post-structuralist garbage is being exposed right now, and we are rebelling against it. It is a good day in America. While we may be racking up federal debt to the point of absurdity, the American people are finally waking up to the nightmare that has been created in the postmodern academy over the last 40 years, and what has been carried on in the tradition of journalism. We are now coming after you, and if you're not going to correct yourselves, we're going to correct it for you.
And then last thing, do you see a role for sort of more activist type of journalism that we saw from James O'Keefe, both with the Acorn thing and with the Landrieu thing? Follow up to that, what do you think will happen with the Landrieu case?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And we're minting new people every day, and everybody's starting to get it. These techniques that James O'Keefe is doing, and Hannah Giles and other people who are here, you'll find out who they are later, because they're going to be stars in the next weeks and months, is that anybody can do it. Anybody can take their camera and expose a light on corruption that exists out there. And the government that you want to take the middle class money and throw it into the government where it's not accountable, where when an acorn gets exposed, the instinct of the mainstream media and the government isn't to say, how are these people spending our money? It's, we're going to destroy Andrew, we're going to destroy Hannah, we're going to destroy James. People are watching. And so what they're realizing is that new media means it's a populist media. It means you can do it too. Creativity exists. The means of distribution exists. And yes, this is a great moment in journalism history where it's being democratized, and people are coming up here and they're excited because they're realizing, aha, that old order is coming to an end.
Majority here want to expand government, want to give more money to the government in order to distribute it in a greater fashion to as many people, and I disagree with that system. I like the idea of hard work and American initiative, and I like the government off of the backs of people, off the backs of corporations, and let the system play itself out. Unfortunately, the political class has created a hybrid system that isn't capitalism. It's cronyism. It's cronyism. And corporations that benefit from the political class should be held accountable through media.
What's your take on the university system? A lot of conservatives have been
garbage. The American research institutions in this country are the best in the land. The engineering departments, the science departments, but the humanities departments in our lifetime have been turned to shit. And these kids I feel sorry for here, who are sitting around with their gender studies degrees and $200,000 in debt, crying that the system failed them, and they did. They won't be able to afford their first down payment on a house until they're 45 years old, but they'll be able to quote Maya Angelou.
What about the journalism departments?
The journalism departments are a political front operation in order to create a social justice, economic justice movement that uses journalism, accredited journalists, as a means to create the American narrative. It is a racket. journalism school in this country is for the most part a racket.
I'm going to sing a song
for
you. It goes a little bit like this.
Yeah.
Smack, smack, sugar smack. Give me a smack and I'll smack you back. It's fun to eat those smacks of wheat. Kellogg sugar smack.
Okay, well, since I've been active in the conservative movement, I've been called a few names. Uncle Tom, Oreo, Phil Negro, and my personal favorite, Porch Monkey. Well, I get asked all of the time, how do you deal with it? How do you stand it? I simply reply, I take a stroll to Andrew Brietbart's Twitter timeline, and then I feel in perfect company. See, the tolerant left loves to hate and demonize anyone who won't bow down to their progressive or liberal agenda. Exhibit A, Hayden Breitbart.
I am so sick of the media dictating the terms of the narrative in this country. I'm so sick of having to be apologetic for who I am. I'm so sick of people in middle America being called flyover country or slope-headed.
Conservative teabaggers. And it's going to be teabagging day.
It's hard to talk when you're teabagging. Appreciate it very much. It's so funny because the teabaggers, the one thing they hate is when you call them racist.
If racism is not the whole of the Tea Party, it is in its heart.
The hatred that Timothy McVeigh, that he had. There are plenty of people like that right now.
Lots of them. I think you get the general tenor of this. It's anti-government, since this is highly promoted by the right-wing conservative networks. Fox.
The left pits people against each other. Divide and conquer is the strategy. I don't want to live in that world. It is the exact opposite of e pluribus unum.
You falsely accused me of being involved in a racial incident.
He said you were involved. You are racist.
He said he was.
You are very racist.
He said he was.
You're going to be dealt with.
He said he works for you.
It's going to come to light who you really are. It's going to come to light who you really are.
Hey, just answer one question. Yes or no?
What about the fake person?
Yes or no?
And what the left has stood for with political correctness is to try and get those with whom they disagree to shut up. And the Tea Party movement and Sarah Palin and Michelle Bachmann and Alan West and all the people that have gone out there against the mainstream media and said, you're going to call us racist, you're going to call us potential Timothy McVeighs, F you.
Makes you happy to be a conservative, doesn't it? But to combat all that hate, from time to time, I will visit Breitbart's Twitter timeline, and I will say, you are appreciated for standing up against media bias. I'll tell him he is respected for not letting race baiters and poverty pimps silence his conservative message. And on his birthday, I even wished him 43 liberals to chew up and digest just for fun. I do these things to let him know he's not alone and that he's needed in case another Congressman Anthony decides to show his wiener. But by far, my most favorite Breitbart moment came and should be a wake-up call to all of us. If you can't sell freedom, then you suck. I'd like to introduce my friend, Andrew Brietbart.
I'm looking for you, you Occupy freaks with your glitter bombs. Bring it on! Bring on the glitter. Everything has changed. Everything has changed in the last few years. Conservatives used to take it, and we're not taking it anymore. Just today, as I was planning one of my stupid, silly, funny tricks, I didn't have to because I got word when I was doing a radio show today that 200 of us went out to the Occupy people to stand toe-to-toe with them to say we are here and we're proud to be conservative and we're not going to take your... I didn't say it. I'm on TV right now. I'm a respectful conservative and my mom is watching. It's over. It's over. Right now, my Twitter feed is already calling me a big fat homosexual. Hello, children at home. No, your dad's not gay. That's how the left rolls. Everybody asks me, why do you retweet? Yeah, why do you do that? I can't tell you how many people I admire. And in fact, there's almost no one in the world who I respect more than Hugh Hewitt. And he took me aside the other day and he said, I don't think you should be doing that, Andrew. I don't think you should be doing that. Well, Professor Hewitt, on this issue, I disagree. Because they've held over our heads with contempt the false narrative of their innate tolerance. The least tolerant people you will ever meet in your entire lives. I know it. I live it every single day, and I retweet it to remind them that I know exactly who they are. This next race, over the next year, everybody asked me, by the way, to come here to speak about tolerance and unity. I'll get to that a little bit later. Because this is my war cry for 2012. You need to join me in this war against the institutional left. This is not your mother's Democratic Party. Duh. Duh. John Podesta, George Soros. This is not your mother's Democratic Party either. You know whose party it is? Well, just this Sunday, thanks to Tucker Carlson, thank you, Tucker, I had the chance of a lifetime to spend an enchanting evening with Bill Ayers and Bernadine Dorn. A Super Bowl party from hell. People said on Twitter, conservatives, you're palling around with terrorists. I'm like, well, if I'm palling around with terrorists, I'm not the best house guest because I'm still going to destroy everything that they stand for, even though Bill Ayers is the best damned cook I've ever experienced in my entire life. You have no idea how good his succulent ribs were. The butternut squash, the carrot with a hint of ginger soup was extraordinary. The whitefish, the selections of wine at this dinner. I had dinner with the 1%, my friends. Bill and Bernadine Dorn. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. You were charming. I mean that. You were. But then again, so was Ted Bundy. So it doesn't really mean that much in the whole scheme of things. And I have a thesis about who we're fighting against. This is the hard left. I thought when I graduated from college in 1991, I thought that ponytail that I left in my humanities class, that silver ponytail, was just going to retire in the shady acres of academia and go on. I had no idea that these people were absolutely serious about the malarkey that they were teaching me, the post-structuralist, politically correct garbage. Unfortunately, in the year 2004, the radical left basically did a coup d'etat of the Democratic Party and basically kicked a person that 4 years before was called the standard bearer of decency in the Democratic Party, and that was Joe Lieberman. That was over. That was the end of the Democratic Party, and after the 2010 election cycle, the DLC went under. It's over. There's no such thing as a moderate Democrat. And so what do we get now in Barack Obama? Well, I've got videos, by the way. This election, we're going to vet him. I've got videos. This election, we're going to vet him from his college days to show you why racial division and class warfare are central to what Hope and Change was sold in 2008. The videos are going to come out. The narrative is going to come out that Barack Obama met a bunch of silver ponytails back in the 1980s, like Bill and Bernadine Dorn, who, equally radical, said one day we're going to have the presidency, and the rest of us slept while they plotted and they plotted and they plotted, and they oversaw hundreds of millions of dollars in the Annenberg Challenge, and they had real money from real capitalists who gave it on to their children and their children's children, and then they become communists. We got to work on that. We got to work on that. That's a parenthesis. Barack Obama is a radical. We should not be afraid to say that. Okay? And Barack Obama was launched from Bill and Bernadine's salon. I've been there. It became a self-evident truth to me that there's zero chance that this incredible chef did not cook many a meal for Barack Obama. Don't tell me ABC, CBS, and NBC I don't have the, that I can't posit that theory, because it's a self-evident truth. Just like it was a self-evident truth that he was with Jeremiah Wright, and just as it's a self-evident truth that when he was at Harvard, he was advocating for the worst of the worst to join the faculty. Radicals at Beirut on the Charles. And that is who's in the White House, and that's who's outside right now telling you you don't have a right to be here, and who would squelch your free speech just as easily they do at Harvard, Vassar, Yale, Wesleyan. They're a bunch of totalitarian freaks. And they pal around with our friends in the mainstream media. I always thought that the people in the media leaned to the left. I always thought that my neighbors in the media leaned to the left. But when they act like a provost at a politically correct university and tell people to shut up, I don't think that they're no longer can they be called objective journalists. They're playing for the other side. They've been part of demonizing good and decent people. They tried to defeat the Tea Party, and when they failed, just like their desire to create a Rush Limbaugh and it failed at Air America, they want what they can't have, and they try to recreate it. They wanted their Tea Party, and what did they create? They created the Occupy movement. What is the Occupy movement, you ask? It's a natural, organic group of people. You've never seen these people before in your life. Wait a sec. These exact people protested against you at the GOP Welcoming Committee in 2008, and two of them were arrested for planting Molotov trying to use Molotov cocktails against the police. The radicals against the police, the radicals against you, exactly like Occupy, the same exact people. These are the same exact people that organized Camp Casey at Crawford. That was Occupy Crawford. These are the same exact people that went down the highway at the exact time at the end of the summer when Katrina happened. That was Occupy New Orleans. It's the same radicals. They've been in your life since Senator Obama became part of your vocabulary. They are at war with you. And they attack you, and they throw eggs at you, and guess what? The media looks the other way. You're domestic terrorists, you know. Janet Napolitano warned me about that. Yet when this group emerged, what happened? They exhibited traits that I'll probably get Worst Person of the Year on a certain show. I don't even think that certain show exists anymore, so that's a dated joke. These people, they drive me a tad mad. Bernadine Dorn, as we ended our dinner, said something very important, because she kept talking about the anti-war movement. Another parentheses. She also said she listens to ESPN's Mike and Mike. End parenthesis. Take that what you will. And this is my thesis, that the anti-war movement was never about anti-war. It was a Saul Alinsky community organizing tool to get Barack Obama and the left elected. It went away immediately. And the mainstream media created a narrative called The Story of the Year, Time magazine, but they will not tell you the true story of what happened. This is exactly the anti-war movement. How do I know this? If I tell that to ABC, CBS, and NBC, they say, that's a conspiracy theory. This is just a bunch of organic people. There's no organization going on, even though we have the emails to prove it, or the undercover videos of Natasha Leonard from the New York Times orchestrating with the radicals. Oh, that didn't mean anything. It did mean a lot, actually. Bernadine Dorn told me while at our lovely dinner, when I was snarkily pointing out to her, whatever happened to the anti-war movement? And she let loose an affirmation of everything I know to be true. She says, well, that's not true. It's more or less that's what Occupy is. That's exactly what it is. The mainstream media refuses to tell you that these are the same shock troops that have been shocking us, pointing their fingers at us, trying to instigate riots with the police. These people are the definition of un-American. So you want a unity speech? You want a unity speech? I'll give you a unity speech. I don't care who our candidate is, and I haven't since the beginning of this. I haven't. Ask not what the candidate can do for you. Ask what you can do for the candidate. And that's what the Tea Party is. We are there to confront them on behalf of our candidate. I will march behind whoever our candidate is, because if we don't, we lose. There are two paths. There are two paths. One is America, and the other one is Occupy. One is America, the other one is Occupy. And I don't care. Along the way, and I'm not a candidate, I'm never going to be a candidate, I'm just a goofball from Los Angeles who wears goofy shoes, promised people I would shave, didn't, promised people I'd take a shower, I got too caught up talking to everybody, and here I am, kind of a mess, but kind of excited to be here, because over the last 3 years I've realized that the Republican Party and the conservative movement is not what ABC and CBS puts on the screen. They try to portray you in the worst possible light. And when I walk through CPAC, or I travel the United States to meet people in the Tea Party who care, black, white, gay, and straight, anyone that's willing to stand next to me to fight the progressive left, I will be in that bunker. And if you're not in that bunker because you're not satisfied with this candidate, more than shame on you, you're on the other side. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to tell you right now, I want to end it on a media bashing note, because that will uplift me like a Dionne Warwick final rendition. We're watching you to play the race card, MSNBC. We saw how you cynically placed the Reverend Sharpton in a position of absurdist power. This is Dadaism. I learned that in college, that they would allow for this guy to have a show. This is Dadaism. It's freaky. It's Andy Kaufman. It doesn't make sense unless you understand what they're doing. This is going to be the dog whistle election cycle. They tested him in 2011, so he and his pal Toure and that punk Tim Jacob Wise and Ed and Maddow can sit there and call everyone who's Caucasian racist. I heard it. He used is instead of are. He's a racist. That's a dog whistle. Ignore it when Congressman Rand does it against Allen West. No more. We're going to go after you. I bought a dog whistle. I bought a dog whistle factory, and I'm giving you dog whistles. And we're going to listen to every word that comes out of your mouth, and we're going to hold you to the same standard that you hold to us, which is an impossible one, and you're going to have a hell of a time in 2012 because America has finally awoken to your Saul Alinsky bullshit tactics, and we're coming to get you. Thank you very much. And when that was reported on Fox News and all over the internet, went viral, has been seen by millions upon millions, sending me emails saying, when is the mainstream media going to start covering this? They're never going to start covering it. That's why the era of big media is over. You're the media now. The American people are the fourth estate. That is why I'm here to tell you in middle America you don't need to trust Hollywood or Manhattan anymore because the game is over. Thank you very much. Okay, you guys, you want a war it is that you are going to get.